Greetings, I'm Dr. Sean Reed, and today I want to talk about how we can use older women to leverage our ability to attract younger women. Okay, so by the end of today's video, I'm going to explain how you can increase your dating numbers by dating older women, and ironically, by dating older women, that's going to make it easier for us to date younger women. Okay, so the bottom line, guys, is that dating is a numbers game. It's feast or famine. If you have 0 women in your life, it becomes very hard to get any women in your life. Conversely, if you're dating 2 or 3 women, let's say you're dating 2 women a week, that makes it very easy to date more women, right? If you have 10 phone numbers, it's generally very easy to get an 11th phone number. If you have 0 phone numbers, it's very hard to get that first phone number, okay? So I'm going to argue in this video, I'm going to explain how by dating older women, we can build our numbers, build our confidence, and that'll also enable us to date younger women, okay? So again, dating is a numbers game. And the more women we date, the more successful we become. And generally, it is easier to date older women than it is to date younger women, okay? In my last video, I talked about the fact that there are 5 available older women for every 2 available single men. So 5 available single women for every 2 available single men. And someone posted on my video, a real nice guy, but he was wrong on this point. He claimed that, yeah, there may be 5 single women for every 2 men, but those women don't really want a relationship. They don't really want anything to do with men. You guys, that is a lie, okay? Where does that lie come from? It comes from our media and our academia. It comes from academia, our gender studies professors who try and teach women, you don't need a man, you don't want a man, you want to be, this super achieving superwoman and just forget about relationships with men. It also comes from Hollywood, for our TV shows in Hollywood that glorify single women, that glorify single moms. And it also comes from our social media, okay? Many of our media influencers argue that, oh, I don't need a man, I don't want a man, but I'm telling you guys, this does not represent women in general. It is a lie. It is a false narrative, okay? Most older women want relationships with men, okay? I know this because I run into it all the time. I'm on Facebook, I'm on Instagram, and I'm sure I'm not the only one this happens to, but I'm constantly running into ex-girlfriends who are now single, and the first thing they want to know is, am I married? So I'll start chatting with them, I'll start talking, messaging, and boom, a minute later, they're sending me provocative pictures of themselves. One said, this is my new boob job, et cetera, et cetera. And once they find out I'm married, that's it. They don't want to talk to me at all. So what that tells me is that these women want relationships. What happens is, if I'm a woman and I'm single and I'm unhappy and I want a man but I can't get a man, they're not gonna publish that on social media, right? The reason we don't see that, as much as we see all these women bragging about being single, the reason we don't see that is it's because it's not cool to make those kind of videos. It's not Hollywood to make those kind of TV shows. It's not politically correct for academics to argue that women need men, right? So it contradicts this false narrative, but the reality is, guys, there are lots of single older women for single men. Women kind of go through phases. In their 20s, everyone wants them, okay? And a lot of the good ones get snatched up, they get married. And then in their 30s, these women think that they're still as hyper value, they consider the value to be as high as it was in their 20s, and they're totally wrong. And then by their 40s, they usually learn this. So women over 40 generally start to realize that they can't be as picky and as choosy as they were in their 20s, and that makes them much more available for relationships, okay? So don't believe the media, guys. It's a lie. older women do want relationships with men, and there are lots of single older women relative to single older men. Okay, so when I talk about older women, what do I mean? Okay, I'm going to give a couple examples. One is a 55-year-old guy. Okay, if you're 55, my definition of older women is 45 and older. So if I'm 55, I'm dating a woman who's 48 and one who's 51. Those women I would consider as older women. If you're 55, I would consider a younger woman as someone 40 or younger. Okay, so here's how this works. I'm 55. On Thursday, I see my 52-year-old, and then on Saturday I go out with my 49-year-old. Okay, what that does is it puts me in a situation where I am confident. I have women in my life, so when I run across that younger gal, that gal who's 38, right? So I'm a 55-year-old guy. A 38-year-old gal is what I would consider as younger. I am confident, and that increases the chance, the likelihood that I will be able to date her. Okay. Let me give another example. Another example I will give is of a 40-year-old, and this was me when I was 40. I was perfecting my system, and I'd gotten pretty good, but by my early 40s, it had gotten pretty good, and so I was generally managing a 3-woman rotation. So on Saturday, I was seeing a gal who was 31. I was 42. On Thursday, I was seeing a gal who was 35, and I was also seeing one who was 35 on Tuesday. So I broke it off with her, and I was still seeing my 35 and my 31-year-old, okay? And these women treated me very well. They both wanted to get married. The 35-year-old, I would come over to her house. It would be basically, she would cook me dinner, and it would be dinner and oral sex. Excuse my vulgarity, but she would constantly tell me things like, marry me, I'll suck your you-know-what twice a day, every day. She would show me her paycheck. She made a lot of money. I want to have a baby. I want to have a baby now. So she was pushing hard for marriage. The 31-year-old one also was pushing hard also. I'd come over. She would give me these incredible massages from head to toe. Happy ending. And she would clean my house. She would fold I had 2 dogs, so I would use plastic bags to pick up the dog poop. And she would fold all my plastic bags into a little triangle. So I was 42, I was dating a 35-year-old, and I was dating a 31-year-old. They were both pushing for marriage, but then I met my wife, who was only 28 at the time, okay? I was 42. No, my wife was 27. My wife is 15 years younger than me, so she was 27 when I met her. But had I not been successfully dating a 35-year-old and a 31-year-old, I would not have had the confidence to seduce my wife, who was only 28. But because I had other women in my life, that made me supremely confident, so I was able to seduce a much younger woman. So the point here is that dating is a numbers game. We want to have lots of women in our life, and filling those slots with older women is perfectly fine. It's a great way to build your confidence. So, you may be 40 years old and you want to start a family. So a woman who's 35, her fertility has dropped tremendously. So you may not want to marry her, but by dating her, that increases your ability to get younger women. Okay. Now, a lot of you may be saying, "Oh, this is awful. You're using women." We never lie to women, right? At some point, we have to become honest with them. And for both the 35 and the 31-year-old, once our relationship had hit about the 3-month mark, and I realized I was not going to marry them, I was honest with them and I stopped dating them, right? And it was after that point that I committed to my wife. So I'm not saying to go out and lie. And we're not abusing women, we're not being dishonest, but I'm telling you guys, it is a war against men. It's a war against men out there, and we need to do everything we can to fight back. Everything is stacked. Good men wanting to be fathers, wanting to be husbands, good men wanting to be good partners. Everything is, our society is stacked against us, and our society has declared war against us. So we must do everything possible we can to be successful in the dating world. Okay, I argue the dating world is the worst dating situation we've ever had, going all the way back to caveman. So we need to do these things to fight back. Okay, all right, guys. So if you like what you saw and you heard today, please hit that like and subscribe button. If you want to learn more about my complete system, I've got my book, The Dating Toolbox. It's available on Amazon.com, only $13. And remember, guys, dating is a numbers game, and we need to do everything we can to increase those numbers.